robot makers. Do you want to go spelunking into some MicroPython code and create our own cave-based adventure game that we can play from the REPL? Then watch this video. So this game is made up of two files. The first file is the rooms file, and this is where we're going to store all the details about the map and the rooms. And what I've done is I've mapped out just on here of the adventure. So we can see at the bottom there we've got an entrance, we've got some rooms, and the rooms are connected to each other. And each room has got a number on it as well. So there are 10 rooms in total. So each of these rooms, we can see the number there, number 1. So this is our cave entrance. So I've given it a title, and these are all part of a dictionary. We then have a description, which is the full description of the room that will be displayed when the user types look. We have exits, and if that room has an exit to the north, then we just put an N. And if we look on our little map again, so the first room connects to room number 2, which is the ante-room. So in our code there we can see that north connects to room number 2, and there is actually an item on the floor in this room, and we can actually pick up that piece of fruit, although in this particular game we can't do anything with it. So the next room is room number 2, that's the antechamber, so that means we've entered into the cave system. The description there is you're in a large chamber with the cave entrance to the south, and we can see there south takes us back to room 1, which is our entrance to the cave, and north takes us to room number 3. So room number 3 is slightly different than the rest. This one is the first one to have a mob in it. A mob is a monster object. You can have more than one monster object in a room, and this particular room just has a frog in it. Again, this is just to give the room a bit more life, and we can see there that we've got some more exits. Room 4 to the north and room 2, the ante-room, to the south, and so on. So room 4 is the first room that's got 4 entrances and exits. It can go all different directions. So this gives the game a real flavour of like a dynamic experience. You can travel in all different directions, you can interact with the monsters, you can pick up items from the floor and so on. I've also included in this game a maze. So the maze has got an interesting dimension to it. Let's go down to one of the mazes, which is room 10. So if we look in our maze, I've called this the Maze of Eternity. And it doesn't matter which direction you go in, north, south, east or west, you will always end up in the same room, which is room 10. So there's no way out of this unless you know the secret. And there is a secret scribbled on one of the walls. We go back up to room number 8. We can see there this foul-smelling room has something sketched on the wall. It says the secret to the maze is go north, south, east and west. So we're going to have some special code that tracks the last location that you went to and has it as kind of a rolling history, and it will check the last 4 locations you went to, and if they were north, south, east and west, you'll be able to exit the maze. So that's the rooms, and then the next file that we have is the main Merlin Caves file. So this is the adventure game itself. So from rooms we import rooms, and that'll just bring in all that dictionary. It just means that this main code is less cluttered. First thing we do is we set up the cave. So we're going to have an inventory. An inventory, if you've not used to that word before, just means the things that you have with you. So items, so these are all items that can appear in the game. So we have key, we have gold, we have spider repellent. Maybe that's a bit of a hint to what we need to do. We have some fruit, we have a chest, and we have a frog. Then we have some actions. We have go, get, look, inventory, open, help, and quit. We have the directions north, south, east, and west. And then we have that move history, which again will record the last 4 movements that we've done. We then have some direction and action shortcuts. And what these enable us to do is just take the first letter from each of those actions or directions and just store that in another array. And it just means that the user can either type out in full go north, or they could just type GN. We then set up some more game variables. So the current room is the room that we are currently stood in. Dead is if you die, because you can get killed by the spider in this game. And 1 is if you've won the game. If you've got the gold from behind the spider, then you've won the game. So next is show exits. So this is a little function that takes the current room and displays the exits that are available from that current room. It goes back to that rooms.py, and for whichever room that you're in, it will look through this little nested dictionary to see what directions you can travel in and where they lead you to. The next function is to display some help. So if you type help in the game or H, it will display this little table of information, and that star multiplied by 80 means draw 80 stars across the page. So it says there to move north, south, east or west, type north, south, east or west, or type N, S, E or W. To look around or get a more detailed description, type look or L. To open something like a chest, type open or O. To take or get something, type get, G, or take or T. To check the list of things that you're carrying, type I or inventory. And to quit the game, type quit or Q. The next function is look, and what this means is just print out the title, and if there are any items in the room, just print those items out as well. It will say UC, and then for each item in that current room items list, it will say item message equals space and then the item. And again, this is if in case there's more items in the room, we can actually list them all out so that it just prints whatever's in that item's message. So show inventory shows you what you've got in your pockets at the moment. So we have to import the inventory as a global variable because we might want to change that. We check the length of the inventory and make sure if it's 0, we say you're not carrying anything at the moment. Otherwise, go through each item in the inventory and add that to the item inventory message and then say what the item inventory message is. Next is we describe the location. So we take the current room as a variable there, and then we say for the current room, display the title, and then for the current room, display the description, which is that more long-winded description, which might have some hints and tips that the adventurer needs to know about. Next, we have a get command. So this displays the input cursor and gets the command from the user. So what input will do is it will display that little caret symbol. It will allow the user to type in a command, and whatever they type in will end up in this variable that's called command, and then we just return that back. Check mob checks to see if there are any monster objects in our current room. If there's none, then it will just ignore it. If there is a monster, it will say you see, and then it will list each of the monsters. So the next function, do action, again checks the current room. It brings in the global inventory, the current room ID with the state, whether you're dead, whether you've won, and also the rooms. And it will check to see there if you're in room number 9, which is the room with the spider in, and you haven't got the spider repellent in your inventory, and then it says the spider lunges forward and kills you, and then dead becomes equal to true. So that's one of the end game scenarios. The next one is if you're in that same room but you do have the spider repellent in your inventory, you can see that there is gold in the room. So if you're in room number 6, which is the chest room, and you've not got the key in your inventory, and you try to open the chest, it will say you try to open the chest but it's locked, maybe you need a key. So if you're in room number 6 and you do have the key and that's in your inventory, then the spider repellent appears in the room, and then it will say the chest opened with the key and inside is some spider repellent. And because the spider repellent appears on the floor, you can then pick that up. It will also remove the key from your inventory. So next is room number 10, and this is one of the special rooms. This is the maze of eternity, and it will check to see if your move history is north, south, east and west. And if it is, it will then set your current room to be number 5, which is a room next to it, which is the maze entrance, and it will say you've managed to exit the maze of eternity. If the room is number 1 and you have the gold, then you've won the game. So next we have the take item. So this is going to take an item and the current room, and this is how we pick items up. So we have to bring in the inventory and the rooms because we might be changing what's in the contents of them, and we check to see if we have the item already in our inventory. So if the item is in the inventory, and what I love about Python is this is just English, isn't it? If item in inventory, and print you already have item. If item in current room is in items, and then print you take the item, and then we append the item to our inventory, and then we remove that from the room. And if that's not the case, if the item isn't in the room, then we say you can't, that item can't be found here, you can't take that. Next we have our movement code. So movement takes the direction that we want to travel in and what the current room is. So it will bring in the current room ID and move history. If the direction is north, south, east or west, or one of the shortcuts, and then we check if the room has exits which correspond to those. The direction N, S, E or W, and that's what that little 0 does there. It just checks the very first character of the direction. That appears in exits. Then we can set the current room ID to be the direction that we want to travel in, so exits direction. If the exit was room number 3, we could set the current ID to be room number 3, and that would effectively move us into there. So next we say move message, you move, and again this is just to inform the user that they have moved. So you move, and then depending which direction we've said, we just add to the move message. So the move history enables us to record the last 4 movements. Whenever we move and the move history is greater than 3, meaning it's 4, we just pop off one of the directions and then append the new direction to the end. And the last one there is if you can't travel in a direction because you can't go that way, then we just display the message you can't go that way. Okay, we're nearly done now. Process command. This will enable us to check which command we've typed in the current room. And a command is made up of 2 things, a verb and a noun. So we'll typically have a verb like go or look, and then we'll have a noun such as north or go open chest. That would be the noun chest. So that we want to split up that command because they've typed something. Hopefully they've typed in 2 commands, and we want to separate them so that they appear as just 2 items in a list, and the way that we do that is using the split command. So we check to see if the command is empty. If the length is equal to 0, then nothing has happened. We've not actually typed any commands. If the command is greater than 2, that means they've typed in more than 2 words, and we need to tell them not to do that. So we give them an example there. So next we can say verb equals commands 0. So that'll get the first action. So if the length of command is greater than 1, that means we've also got a noun as well, hopefully. So we can then set the noun to equal commands 1. Command 0 and command 1. First item is 0 and the second is 1. First will be the verb, the second will be the nouns. So we now check to see if the commands are valid. So we set verb to verb.lower, and what that means is make it lowercase. And when we're comparing verbs, we don't have to check if they're uppercase, lowercase, title case or anything like that. We can just deal completely in lowercase. If the verb is not in actions and the verb is not in action shortcuts, then we say we don't know how to do what the verb that they've typed in. And we give them a helpful hint that says for a list of commands type help, and then we return none. The verb is L or look, then we describe the location and we pass in the current room. If the verb is Q for quit, we just say quitting time and then quit equals to true. If the verb is H for help, then we show the help. If the verb is I, inventory or inv, then we show the inventory. And if the noun is not none and the noun equals noun.lower, if noun is not in north, south, east and west, and noun is not in items, and noun is not in the direction shortcuts, then print I don't know what the noun is. Otherwise it means we do know what the noun is. We can take that one out because we've already done that further up. So if verb is in T, take, U, use, G or get, then we can take the item because they're all synonyms for the same thing. So we passed in the noun and which current room we're in. If the verb is in O or open, then we don't actually have to have that code anymore. That was just something I was testing out because we do the action further down. So we just say pass. So that's fine. If the verb is J or go, then we can move into the current room. So we just pass which direction we want to travel in into the current room. So then here's the main program. This is quite short. So we set the current room to be 1, we set quit to be false, and then we say, and again this is really nice English, we say while not dead and not quit and not won, do the game. We print out that dash with 80 times across the screen. We look, we just print out what the current location is. We show exits to see if there's any exits available. We check for monsters and display the monsters in the room if they're there. And then we get the command from the adventurer. So we just say command equals get command. If the command is not none, so if they've not typed nothing, then we process the command. We pass in the command and what the current ID of the room is. And if dead, we say, oh dear, try again. And if won, we type out a congratulations message. And if those conditions become true, so if we're dead or we've quit or we've won, then we leave the game and we just type 80 characters. So let's have a quick play. I've got a Raspberry Pi Pico plugged in here. We're going to play this on the REPL. So it's connected up there. So here we go. The cave entrance, you see some fruit. So we can type in get fruit. And if we type in inventory now, you can see there you are carrying fruit. So we can now go north. If we type look, we get that more fuller description. So it says you're in a large chamber with the cave entrance to the south. And it says there the exits are south and north. So if we went south, we would end up back where we started. So I have to type go south and we're at the cave entrance again. Again, if I type look, we can see a bit more of a description there. So you stood on a rocky beach in front of the large cave entrance. This is Merlin's cave. So this is one of my favourite places in Cornwall in Tintagel. So there's Tintagel Castle just above Merlin's cave, and there's a legend that this is where Merlin used to hang out. So we're going to go north again. We're going to go north one more time. That should take us into this narrow passageway. So we're going to look. You're in the dark and the narrow passageway. You can see light up ahead and the entrance to the rear. And you can also see a frog. So we try type get frog. It says the item can't be found there, or you can't do that. You can't pick up the frog. It's just a character in the game. So we're going to go north again. So this time I'm going to type go N. And we're now in the large cave. So let's have a look at this. You're in a large cave and you can hear the dripping sound to the east. And there's a strange symbol to the western exit. Nice and warm in here. And it looks like this area has seen a lot of people passing through. So let's go north again. We're now in the chest room, so let's have a look what's in the chest room. This room has a low ceiling and leaning on the far wall is a large chest. So let's try an open chest. And it says you try opening chest, but it's locked. Maybe you need a key. So I'm going to go south. I'm going to go west. And it says this is the maze entrance. Let's have a look. It says to the west is the entrance to the maze of eternity. Few who enter ever leave. Make sure you know the secret before you enter the maze or you'll never leave. So I'm going to go west. So I'm now in the maze of eternity. And it says there's a key there. So I'm going to get key. I'm going to type look. The room looks just like the one you've come from. About 3 meters by 3 meters with no distinguishing marks. So if you go north, you go south, you go east, it will always say the same thing. So north, go south, go east, go west. And magically we're now at the maze entrance. We've managed to escape the maze of eternity and we have the key. We type our inventory, we've got the key. So we're going to go east again. We're now back in that large cave. We can go north, back into the room with the chest. We can open chest. And now we've managed to open the chest and it says you can see some spider repellent. So let's get a spider repellent. And we're now going to go south. We're going to go east this time. And it says there's a waterfall. And the description says the room has a large waterfall gushing down from the easterly wall. The water disappears down the crack in the floor. So we're now going to go south. Now we're going to look. We're in a foul smelling room. It says this room has a foul stench like rotting fish. The room is covered with ancient spider webs. There is a note scratched onto the wall. It says there is a secret to the maze is to go north, south, east and west. And if you know anything about Nintendos and secret codes and stuff, that's partly what that's to do with. Up, down, left, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go south again. And this is the room with the spider in it. And it says you've wandered into the spider's den. The room is covered with spider webs and some things wrapped inside them. And what they could be. and it says you see gold. So let's get the gold. Get gold. Let's check our inventory. You are carrying the gold. So we're going to go north. We're going to go north again. We're going to go west. We're going to go south. We're going to go south again. And then finally, if we go south, this should be us at the entrance again. So if we go south, it says congratulations, you got the gold and you return home safely. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and I shall see you next time.